Hey everybody, welcome back into another episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. We're here in the WSAZ Now studio. I'll show you the overhead shot here in a second, but if I do that right now, it'll give away who our guest is. He is sitting across from me. He is an absolute classic here at WSAZ Sports, but it's week one of high school football, at least if you live in Ohio or Kentucky. And if you live in West Virginia, I mean, you can cross the river if you want to. You can go to some games. So it could be football season for you as well. And that means we have plenty of games that we'll be covering this Friday night, even Thursday. And I'm not sure about Saturday. There are some Saturday games. Not sure which ones we'll get to. But a lot of storylines entering the 2025 high school football season in Kentucky and Ohio. You think about it. Is this the year that Raceland finally beats the door down and wins a state championship? It has eluded them, but they have come so close. People are high on them this year. Is this the year for the Rams? It's a new era down in Belfry, Kentucky with the passing of Coach Philip Haywood. Matt Varney takes over. We'll see what the Pirates have this year, and I'm sure they'll play some inspired football in 2025. What might Ashland look like? You know, they lost a lot of talent last year, but I feel like they always replace with talent. There are some athletic kids over at Paul Blazer High School. We'll see what the Tomcats look like. They have quite the litmus test here week one. How about in Ohio? Can Ironton repeat in Division 5? Well, they certainly think so. Everybody in that town certainly thinks that they can. We'll talk about it. You know, we've got some new coaches around the area, Chesapeake and Gallia Academy among them. Also in the OVC, is this Colgrove's year to get back to the top of the OVC? They've got a heck of a group coming back, and Jay Lucas feels like, hey, if we perform to our talent level, we feel pretty good about what we can do this year. And then how about Wheelersburg? They started 0-3 last year and then found themselves in the regional final. They have a senior-heavy roster. Talking to Coach Woodward 2 years ago, these guys were all sophomores. They have played a lot of football. This is an experienced group. Can they shake things up in Region 19, possibly make a run at winning a regional title? Of course, Region 19 is stacked. You've got Ironton, Harvest Prep in there. This is all stuff that we can speculate. The good news is football season is here, and we won't have to speculate any longer. So how about we show you who our guest is in here? I'm sure most of you guessed who it could be. This is Jimmy Treacy. As you all know, he's an absolute classic. You excited, Jimmy?
The hair gives it away, right?
You think so?
Well, I tell my wife, my hair looks brown. She says, no, your hair's not brown anymore. It's white. I'm like, no, it looks brown to me. And then I saw it the other day. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting there.
Maybe the more you look in the mirror, one of these days it will be brown.
I still feel like I'm 35. And when you get to this time of year, it certainly re-energizes you. These young high school players, not just football, but all the other sports we cover. But, high school football this time of year really gets this thing cranking after kind of chilling for much of the summer. It's time to get busy.
Yeah, well, you'll be anchoring what is kind of like a pseudo-football Friday night this Friday. It's not full-fledged. We don't bring out all the bells and whistles until all three states are, in season. But, Jimmy, real quick, I have a guy that has a question for you. And our folks over in Ohio are going to know who we're talking about. Rick McKnight wants to ask you a question.
Are you ready for some football?
How does he not have a statue somewhere in that facility?
That's a great question.
Maybe put a statue up in the press box. But he is a classic. I'm sure Keith's told you this story before.
I know where this is going.
This dates back to a time where they had Ironton Sports Day, and he would be at the first tee. And Lord help you if you shanked it, if you flubbed it, even if you hit it straight, he found a way to make you laugh. And those are great days gone by. But he's a super Ironton supporter, and he's always nice to see. That's when you really know that football is here, is when you see him roaming around and sometimes trying to get people to get split the pot tickets.
Yeah, no kidding. What kind of is not fun, I guess it's fun for them over there, but Ironton's got a lot of Saturday games this year, so we may not see or hear from Rick quite as much as we'd like to, at least on Football Friday night.
Well, maybe a good thing about that is kids with Football Friday night, we got 15 games, 25 minutes. A lot of times the games are highlights. Sometimes are 50 seconds, maybe a minute. But, when you get Saturday games, we can get over there and they can get maybe a little bit more love. I know week one they're at Shelby Valley. Hopefully our affiliate down in the Hazard area will get that. Yep. So, sometimes playing on Saturday might give you a little extra airtime. But they're also competing with 5 college football teams we cover. But I'll find a way.
Yeah, we'll find a way. Jimmy Treacy always finds a way on Saturdays. All right, Jimmy, we don't have to worry about a lot of those games kind of outside of our coverage area because we'll have our hands full this coming weekend. Raceland at Ashland, I feel like if this was a true football Friday night, and of course we've got our sponsored stuff, I feel like this probably would be our game of the week. How do you feel about this matchup? Ashland got them last year. They got them the year before, but they do replace a lot of guys, and Raceland's probably feeling like, hey, we feel like we can win it in our classification. If we start out with the W against Ashland, watch out.
Oh, I know. I mean, it just shows how good they are as a Class 1A school. I mean, they're always hanging with Ashland, who are a couple classes higher. A couple years ago, it was 2022, they won 34-7. I mean, that's one where you're like, holy moly, this team is for real. I got to the indoor offices and workout sessions. I'm like, they have something maybe some small colleges would love to have, and that's just a testament to how successful they've been in Class 1A football. They just kind of ran into a team just a little bit better last year with Chad Pennington, Sarah Spartans, but they're going to bust down that door one day. Is this the year? You never know, but boy, if they start off with a win against Ashland, which is, say, 4A, right? So that's one game when I look at it and I tell myself, which game am I going to go to? Oh, Raceland Ashland.
Is that where you're going to be?
Oh, you better believe it.
Okay, I know you've got the list for us.
Well, because I've been working on high school schedules for a hot minute this summer, and week one, and Keith will be out of town that day covering something else for sports, and I got to stay close, being on the desk. But yeah, that's something I can get out to and get right back in time for the 10 and the 11. So. Yeah, I gave myself that one. That's the luxury of being able to schedule who goes where.
Yeah. Have you been to Putnam Stadium since they've put up the new video board?
No.
I
haven't been there.
It's killer.
I hit a game last November, I think, during playoff time, but haven't been back since. I'm in touch with Jim Conway all the time, just especially see him in basketball season, and he's a great AD there at Ashland. And, boy, that facility, that stadium, very historic, and it's always fun to go back there, and we love the fireworks after every touchdown.
Oh, yeah. They got cotton candy there, too. Andrew Colgrove loves to feature the cotton candy at Ashland.
That's a whole nother animal when we get to football Friday night, what he has in store for us. But, yeah, it's a great place to play football, place to start the year.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, as far as people that we're going to see out on the gridiron that night, I mean, of course, Sam Lyons and Mason Wolf, there's some wide receivers for Ashland who are going to make plays. That's not even speculation. Those are two that are going to. You got Cam Davis and Mav Ashby in the backfield, shifty kids that are going to tote the rock for them. I saw them in a scrimmage against Jackson from Ohio there 2 weeks ago, and then against Huntington High this past Friday. And, I mean, they look good. I mean, it's a different-looking team than what they've had because they've been airing it out with LeBryant Strader for what seems like forever. But he's gone now, so you feel like the Tomcats may look a little different. You might see a couple of different quarterbacks out there. A lot of guys have gotten reps in these scrimmages. But I feel like, their defense is going to be pretty stout. They return 8 starters on defense, so keep people off the board, score a few touchdowns, and you feel pretty good.
What's been amazing about them the last few years is that I remember when Strader was a freshman. He's a big boy. I'm like, man, he played really well his 4 years. Jennings was unbelievable, and they were a team that when they get to football, because sometimes our time is limited at a football game because we got to get to a second game, then get back here by 9:30 to get things cranking, and we could always count on Ashland giving you a touchdown or two, and sometimes quickly. But like every sport we cover, especially in high school, they've had kids in the middle school JV. So by the time they get to high school, they've been working out. They're ready. I mean, if you follow Ashland's Tomcat football Twitter page, I think Maverick Ashby can deadlift 8,000 pounds.
He's unbelievable.
I mean, it's like so these guys are driven like all of them are, and they're ready to prove something come week one. And then, hopefully they'd love to get back to Kroger Field too, I'm sure.
No doubt. I mean, of course, Raceland, a much smaller school in the smallest classification in Kentucky, but, I mean, Ashland will have their hands full with these guys. I mean, I feel like we heard the name Landon Stiltner a million times in the highlights last year, a guy in the backfield for Raceland. It sounds like they have a majority of their starters coming back on offense. I think 9 is that number, 7 on defense. I like Raceland this year. You never know what's going on in the rest of the Commonwealth, and only time will tell. You got to stay healthy, but I feel like this really could be Raceland's year. Not to put pressure on anybody, but, gosh, they've been so close, and you'd like to see them finally beat it down one time.
And that's a sneaky rivalry in our area because we talk about Huntington Midland, Boyd County, Ashland. But I think those. I mean, they're obviously not that far away. Cold Grove or Chesapeake Fairland, but that's one that I think Raceland always wants to prove a point. Like we might not have the numbers, just population-wise, but we can play with anybody in the state of Kentucky. And when they, that's a huge game for them. Great way to start things off. Boy, they would certainly love to get a win in week one. And then I think on the flip side, Ashland's, they don't want to be, a team that loses to any Class 1A school, no matter how good they are. But, you still want to start the year off with a win and kind of, because I'm sure they see each other out at the mall or movies or wherever they go. So they kind of want to have bragging rights in that respect as well. But boy, I'd say that's what's great about football. Basketball, they play 35, 40 games. Baseball, 50 it feels like, but 10 shots, and that's in week one. They don't hold anything back.
That's the thing about week one. You don't really know, the names, but you don't really know what you have till you get out there. And it'll be interesting, especially all the kids that are maybe like sophomores right now, juniors coming in that haven't seen a lot of varsity time. And we're going to know their name come, November 1st. But right now we haven't heard of these guys yet. So these are those kind of games where kids start making a name for themselves.
And you got to know that, some of these sophomore kids, even freshman kids, are going to hit a growth spurt. And the coaches realize they'll probably look at one kid and say, look, he could be something. And from the time the season ends in November, hopefully December, those kids are in the gym. And the strides that I'm sure they make between December and August is pretty awesome. And that's why these teams continue to reload, and Raceland has such great facilities, so you're not surprised that they are.
Let's cross the river. Fairland at Portsmouth West. Was talking to Coach G at Portsmouth West there when they were scrimmaging Ironton a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about their schedule. I believe they are a D6 school these days, right?
It's super hard.
And they're playing up just about every week. Fairland, I believe, is D5. They've got, I think, a couple of schools from the Chillicothe area, maybe Hillsboro in there. It feels like everybody in the out-of-conference that they're playing is a bigger school. So we might find out a lot about who Portsmouth West is going to be just in these first few weeks. As for Fairland, that's the returning OVC champion, but that was a heck of a senior class they had last year. To me, they're one of the biggest unknowns. I'm not sure what to make of Fairland this year, but they always have athletes, and I'm just not sure who those kids will be this year, but I know they got them.
Oh, we're certainly going to find out here Friday night, and that's another sneaky good opening night. I think it was 2 years ago, Fairland won at West on a last-second touchdown, because then I think they go for –
it's always week one, right?
Instead of kicking a field goal, they won in the final seconds. I know that Andrew Colgrove was there and shot it. Great, rivalry from about 50 miles away from each other. I know they're excited about it. We're going to probably hit Fairland at some point this week to preview that game. And Coach Mike Jackson's always great with us, and he seems to have good kids that know the system, and they're tough. And going back to the Concrete Palace, as they call it, is always fun. But this year it's Portsmouth West, and I believe that is your assignment. So that should be interesting.
Yes, I will be at that one. I think you have me going to 2 games in Scioto County, I believe. I think I'm at the Rock Hill Menford game, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But you also have me going to that game there at Portsmouth West. Coach G was telling me, of course, Anthony Bishop in the backfield for them, he's going to be electric. Brody Hall is their quarterback. He's going to throw it around. And what Coach told me was that they're going to be more multi-dimensional than in seasons past. In the past you would see like somebody like Mason Parker, and it's like we got to get him the ball as many times as possible and just pound the rock, right? No pun intended up there at the rock. But it sounds like they may be a little more pass-friendly this year, and that's fun to shoot. That's fun to watch. I think that's going to be a real entertaining game, don't you?
Oh, no doubt. We love football no matter how it's played, but sometimes 3 yards in a cloud of dust is a little challenging on us to give these kids the appropriate coverage and highlights on television. But boy, it's always fun to watch teams air it out, try to score, make it interesting, keep the fans involved. And if West can kind of have that great balance and maybe have a little bit better passing attack than previous years, that should make things interesting. And Fairland, they're like you said, they're such an unknown. One year they could have a really good quarterback, but they still kind of pound the ground game. But that's one game where when you get there, I'm sure on Friday night, you're just like, all right, let's see what you got. And that's what Coach Mike Jackson's telling his boys too. See what you got.
Yeah, well, the key for me is going to figure out which one do I go to first. They'll go to Minford first. They'll go to West first. And maybe you and I can game plan that over the next couple of days. But I really don't know.
No.
It just kind of depends. We need touchdowns no matter what, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's move on to that Rock Hill at Minford game. This was the season opener for both of these teams. Last year, Rock Hill won it 28-12 up on the hill. It is year 2 for Tony Love at Rock Hill. Of course, he's won a state championship in Kentucky. Like, he's a proven winner. And I think Rock Hill caught a lot of people by surprise last year in the OVC, and just really on that side of the river. They had a heck of a senior class. Anthony Stamper was unbelievable. He could do a lot of things for them, but a lot of those kids have gone. That's always kind of the cliche is, hey, we lost a lot of talent. Well, everybody loses talent, right? So it's a matter of what kind of talent do you have now? I believe the Cox kid is back at quarterback. Braylon McClellan is a talented kid that missed some time last year, and I believe he's back at wide receiver. They've got a big dog up front named Daniel Mettinger who's getting some college looks. He's a load up there. I'd say run up behind Mettinger every single time.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm kind of thinking which game do you go to first, and I'm kind of checking our notes here, and Midford, bless them, 1-9 last year.
Yeah, it's tough.
Might need to go there first, but who knows what they had between the end of last year and this year. Do they have some young kids hit the weight room, and could they be a pleasant surprise? Because it's always interesting and fun when the mighty Minford Falcons are good in any sport, especially football. But, yeah, that might be the one you want to hit first because, you have Tony Love. We loved working with him when he was at Ashland, super accommodating, and he had great kids, and they played well. Of course, got to Lexington more than a few times, and the talent they bring back, they might be one of those games where you kind of jump on them early and don't let them get back up, and that way that eventually, if you think about that, that saves these kids the kids' energy, especially if it's going to be 85 degrees. Cause
sure, it's going to be hot Friday night.
We came home from somewhere the other night, and the car said 91. It was 7:30. And the other big thing is let's hope it doesn't rain, because summer rains bring lightning, and we had that more than a few times last year. There was one football Friday night where I think 4 or 5 games got delayed by lightning, which doesn't help. But if Rock Hill, I think I got a feeling they'll just jump on them quick. One of those games where it could be 21-0 real fast, and then you could hit over Portsmouth of the West.
But if the Falcons make it interesting, we may stick around over there. Like I said, I don't want to gloss over them. You just never know.
No, I know, because with so many teams in our area. I mean, we cover football teams in 2 hours in every direction, so it's impossible to know, who's bringing what back and whatnot. But sometimes teams can surprise us, which is what makes it so much fun.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We'll go back over to the Commonwealth. I think you've got Andrew Colgrove heading to this one. Belfry at East Carter.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting matchup. I mean, Philip Haywood was such an icon down in Belfry, and when all that happened and he passed away, it's just like you're sad for the community, you're sad for the family, the kids, the ones he coached, the one he was getting ready to coach. Unfortunately, he was taken from us way too early, because I'm sure he had so much more to give the kids and the community of Belfry. And you just wonder, how I know they'll be really inspired to play well for him, and not only the new head coach as well, and the new program, and just that Belfry does what they do. They're always a great program. They're going to score you, and good luck stopping them on offense. So you got to think that that's a uphill climb for East Carter, because Belfry's playing for a lot on Friday night.
Yeah, like I said, inspired ball. That's what I expect from Belfry all year long. I believe Coach Varney played for Coach Haywood himself.
Yeah. Matt Varney's no stranger to the Belfry Pirates and the program.
There's a million Varneys down there. That's a Belfry name, isn't it? There's a lot of people that are going to laugh at that.
That's like Adkins in Wayne County.
I believe their quarterback's a Varney, Chase Varney. I think he's been their starting quarterback for seemingly forever.
Yeah, it's his 4th year.
J.B. Woolham he's the man, 16 rushing touchdowns last year and 6 in the air as well. I mean, you have talent at Belfry. It's just a matter of, can they climb that ladder and get back to the place that they've been so many times?
Oh, they were so good. I got back into this business after being gone for about 8 years, and I didn't realize they'd won, I think 3 in a row, or it was an insane number. But that they have the talent, they do what they do. Good luck stopping us. They're one of those teams that they can obviously pass and throw it, and good luck stopping them.
Yeah. Now East Carter, they got some dogs themselves. Landon Yoke, that's a name that you're probably going to be saying on Football Friday night a lot. He's a senior running back for them. I feel like as he goes, so do the Raiders. Something like 1,500 yards on the ground last year. That was fifth most in 3A, about 125 yards a game. I mean, you take that from any running back, whether you're in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. If I know he's good for 125 each Friday night, we're going to make sure he gets it. 16 touchdowns as well. They were in the playoffs last year, got beat in the second round. They finished 7-5. It's hard to say. Do you feel like they're taking a step up? Is this a year where they could take a step back? Well, if you upset Belfry week one, we're gonna know.
And what's a great equalizer is where they're playing. I mean, that
the place is awesome.
The East, the fans are rabid about their football. That's always good for maybe a touchdown or two, and then for a lot of times when there might or might not be a mismatch in talent. Not saying there was in this one, but keep it close and see what happens in the fourth quarter. If East Carter can do that, or they might have such firepower on offense, they could jump on them quick, and Belfry's then playing catch up. So that thing is going to be loud and rowdy and hard to hear. And I think the Raiders are always good for a nice punt return for a touchdown, because it seems almost every other week we see that on Football Friday night. Here comes a Raider for a special teams touchdown. Yeah. That could be huge too.
Yeah, I think back to the couple times I've shot games at East Carter. They let the fans with their lawn chairs sit basically from like the 25 to the back of the end zone, and you're sitting there like having a conversation with somebody's grandma or grandpa as you're shooting a first down. It's just such a cool environment. Usually you have the track that separates you. Not at East Carter, man.
Then you feel bad because you're standing in front of somebody. Raceland's the same way, because they have they have the tents like you'd see it at Myrtle Beach popped up, and then but as long as you tell them, I won't be long. If you score, I'm going to the other side of the field. So let's hope you guys score, so I'll be out of your hair.
Yeah, they know that we're only going to be there for as long as we can be.
Yep.
So
busy night.
Let's stay over in Kentucky. Let's come up north a little bit though. Colgrove is at Russell, and I mentioned earlier when I was kind of reading off the headlines, Colgrove feels like they have a good ball club this year, and that's not them self-indulging. They do have a good ball club this year with the people that they have coming back. I'm not so sure about Russell. I believe they went like 9-4 last year. They were a playoff team. But as far as Colgrove against Russell, you don't see this matchup very often, so we don't have a lot of data points to go on, at least the matchup between these two teams.
That's what's fun about high school football is you have a million games, so you don't really look at that week until it's Monday. But and some days I'll look at the schedule and I'll go, ooh, and it's like, that's a good one. And Colgrove at Russell's one of them, because they don't see each other a whole lot. Colgrove just loves to pound the football, and you know what they're going to do. Good luck trying to stop those big running backs they have.
Caden Murphy, Caden Turner.
They're physical, and running game, especially in this heat, tires down the defense. You want to run that clock. That could be one where Colgrove could go across the river and come back 1-0, because, like I said, they keep building in the right direction. And every time we say the word Colgrove, I can't get that big old cowbell out of my ear.
Oh yeah,
I'm hearing it right now, and we're not even there. But
back of the end zone now.
And you got to think they're going to travel well, and so that's going to be another one of those great week one matchups on Football Friday night. I call it week 0. Week 1 is
kind of is week 0
when West Virginia joins the party.
I'm not so sure I subscribe to week 0 in college football. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's football, but it's not.
It just confuses me. Like, it's whatever it is.
Yeah, the Hornets, of course, as I mentioned, Caden Murphy returning at running back. You've got Caden Turner, who he's probably one of the best players on the defensive side of the ball in that area there. Ryland Smith at quarterback brings back a lot of experience. He's going to make good decisions and do what he does. Over at Russell, the Pennington brothers are going to be some weapons on the outside. Twin brothers, by the way.
That's what's great about high school football, too, is kids playing both sides of the ball. And the junior quarterback, Hudson's going from quarterback to middle linebacker. I guess he had 74 solo tackles last year.
He can hit.
These kids, and I'll go to games and they'll hit each other. And it just gives me the chills to watch these guys hit each other, because it would kill me nowadays. But Russell always has, like I said, they always have good, solid, big athletes too. And it's a great atmosphere for football when they walk down the steps. They take the field, and the mascot. You could attest to this. The Russell Red Devil mascot is always entertaining. So,
oh yeah, Sparky or whatever they call him. I'm not even sure.
He's got energy. So will the heat play factor in that game? Will Colgrove just try to run it all day long and just wear Russell's defense down, not give them the ball? That could be a huge thing. I'm pretty sure Russell's still grass. Mm-hmm. So, if it rains, which they say it might rain, Thursday, even Friday, does that play a factor? Which could help the running game too.
Yeah. We might have to have Tony on here for some of these episodes because we are at the mercy of the weather, at least through really the end of September. October starts to dry out on us a little bit, but come on.
You'll come back too from covering a game, and your shirt is gray, but it looks black because It's just so hot, and then you get a much more appreciation for what these kids are going through playing in this weather. But I'll take heat over cold any day.
No kidding. All right, Jimmy, 2 more games that we can at least assure our viewers that we're going to be attending and that we'll have highlights for. Back over into Ohio, Boyd County travels up to Gallipolis. Some people say Gallipolis. I'm not really sure. I've always said Gallipolis with the soft IS.
I'm just off the tongue, Gallipolis.
Gallipolis. That's always what I've said. I've got relatives that live there, so I'm taking their word for it. Okay, but Boyd County at Gallia Academy. Boyd County is another one of those teams that typically have athletes, but I'm just not so sure. Graduated some talented guys. Gallia Academy was, I believe, 1-9 last year. Actually, they may not have won a game, but all that to say, it was a rough year. They have a new coach in Dalton Jarrell. I've heard that their numbers are up, so if that's true, it sounds like there's a little bit of buzz, more excitement than maybe there otherwise would have been. That's one of those week 1 games that you're going to find out who both of these teams are, kind of regardless of the result. We're also there that morning for Fired Up Friday, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, is this the last year at Memorial Field for Gallia Academy?
I hope not. I love that field so much. I've been in this business a long time, and sometimes I still have trouble finding it. But when you get there, you're at street level and you see lights about 20, 30 feet off the ground. I'm like, that can't be the football stadium because it's only 20 feet off the ground. Then you realize it's in that bowl. You look around, you see the houses, the people on their decks watching games. That's a field where you wish they could play at forever because it is downtown. And, I'm sure what that does to the businesses on a Friday night. People can go here and there, but if it could stay at Memorial Field forever, I would love that so much because that field has great character. A lot of times with consolidations and things like that, you get the cookie cutter high school field because you have to. I mean, but that field has a panache, we'll call it.
Yeah, it definitely has some character. It's a unique venue, but I understand it. It does sit in the middle of a floodplain. That's why that bowl is there, and so that's a nightmare.
We've had some of the muddiest games that we've covered there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, water has nowhere else to go when it sits there, but the mud games make for interesting football as well. Mm-hmm. But progress is progress. But it's a cool place to shoot a football game just for a couple more years. Great, we'll enjoy it.
Yeah. I lost a tooth at Memorial Field once. I didn't bust it off anything, but I was at a game. My uncle was coaching, my cousins were playing, and lost a tooth there. I'll never forget that.
Did you find it, and did you get money from the tooth fairy?
Oh, I think I was wiggling it. It was a snaggle tooth, so it was in my hand. It didn't just come out, and we didn't know where it was.
Yeah, and Boyd County, they always seem to reload, and this could be a year. Maybe they're a little down, but Coach Evan Ferguson, he knows how to keep coach his guys up, and all of a sudden they're 5-2. Boyd, there's Boyd being Boyd again.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's move over to our last game that I know for sure we're going to have a photographer at to shoot you some highlights, and that is Beaver Eastern at South Point. Beaver Eastern is one of those teams that I know people in Pike County get WSAZ.
Yep.
But it's a logistics nightmare for us to travel that far to cover them. We're just going to tell you right now we apologize because they've had really good football teams these last few years. I believe they were in the regional final last year. But thankfully we get to see them. I know their quarterback can sling it. I think his name's Eric Manley. Threw 42 touchdowns last year. So, we don't get to see him very often, but I'm excited to see what he looks like on Friday night at South Point.
Yeah, there are 2 Eastern teams in our region. We don't get to a whole lot. Reedsville,
and Meigs
County too, and just we try our best. And people out there, I swear to you, we look at the schedule, and it's not just the I-64 teams or the Route 7 teams or the Route 23 teams we cover all the time. We really put a lot of thought into. This is why we're going to that game. I mean, there's a couple other we could have gone to, but in my brain I said we never get Eastern, so that's a no-brainer. If a team that's far away is closer, perfect. Let's get them. Let's get them on TV. Let's show the kids how well they play football, and that could be a great start for Eastern if they can come to South Point and get a win.
Yeah, it was a rough year for South Point last year, and I mean quite the opposite for Eastern last year. Eastern was undefeated until the very last game of the year, and they got beat by Danville, who historically has been pretty good in Division 7.
And I'm already thinking about week 2 with West Virginia because, like I said, we try to get those teams that we hardly ever see. And what's great is I think they appreciate it when we get there, and that's what's fun about this business so much is the atmosphere and all these places have great character and the fields are awesome. There's tanks, there's so many great facilities that we get to. So we try to get to as many as possible. Trust me.
Yeah, and even like right now, there's probably some teams that someone's going to say, "Hey, you didn't mention us." It's hard. There's just a lot of you.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you're not kidding. I mean, the ticker alone is 50, 60 teams.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, in 3 states. I mean, you forget how expansive our coverage area is, and like I said, it goes from Belfry to Williamson, even further. I mean, Tug Valley is before Williamson, but down in the Matewan area. So yeah, we try our best.
Up to Jackson, Ohio, all the way over to Portsmouth. I mean, even Athens County, Ohio.
Even friends in Parkersburg watch us too. Beckley, Fayetteville. I mean, it's like you have friends all over the area, and like, hey, I saw you the other night. I'm like, you all get us? Yeah. I'm like, perfect.
We need to start flying private or something, man. Helicopters for everybody. That'd be cool.
Well, at our
Chopper 3.
At our previous.
Did that ever exist?
At mine and Keith's previous station, we did have a chopper.
Tag on. Well, we need to figure out where it is.
It was fine for a while until I think schools realized there was a serious liability issue.
Yeah.
So we couldn't land anywhere. So I'm just flying around like, this stinks.
Where's your soccer field? Can we land on it? Outfield of your baseball field?
We couldn't land. After a while, we couldn't land anywhere. And so I'm like, I want to be down there. I don't want to be up here anymore.
Yeah. All right, well, those are the games that, of course, people can expect on the pseudo football Friday night that Jimmy is going to be anchoring this Friday. But there are, of course, plenty of other games. We'll run through some of these. We'll throw up some graphics for you. Let's look at the first one. Jimmy, we already mentioned Raceland-Ashland. We talked about Belfry-East Carter. I'll also mention the times on here say 7:30. It's going to be hot Friday. Oh, yeah. Some of these games have already been pushed back to 8, so disregard.
Some might even join the 8 o'clock party.
They might.
Thursday. I mean, if they know it's going to be in the 90s all day long, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if a lot of them go to 8 o'clock. And I don't blame them because just wearing shorts and our polos, you're sweating buckets. So, yeah, which is, player safety is most important.
No doubt. Also got Bath County and Fairview, Pike Central and Greenup County. I will say Greenup is another team. We didn't really talk about them a whole lot just now, but that's another team that the last few years has been pretty good. But, they had a generational athlete at quarterback, and he's gone now. I know the kid that they're having play quarterback this year was a wide receiver, I think, last year, so it's a position change for him. It just makes you wonder, what will the Musketeers look like this year? I'm certainly rooting for them. Hope they have a great year, but you just don't know.
Yeah, that's another great football field atmosphere where you go to
nice
you're
grass.
Driving. Yeah, you're driving down 23 and look to your right, and you get to Raceland first, and you keep on going, and you see the lights get in the distance. So that's another fun place to go.
Pikeville and Christian Academy. Louisville, of course, Pikeville typically always has good football. And then Floyd Central and Paintsville. We'll move on to next round of games. Wheelersburg heads up to Kip Columbus.
Please tell me, this is the first time I've ever heard of Kip Columbus.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about Kip Columbus? They're on Colgrove's schedule, too.
Yeah,
we better get to know them fast.
I saw them twice, and it's just that's a school that kind of is intriguing when you see the name and where they're from and what kind of players they have. And I'm sure Rob Woodward's pretty jacked to maybe see what he can do against these new guys on the schedule.
Might have to have him call in afterwards. He can describe where they play, what kind of guys they got on their team. Do you ever heard of Cincinnati Cape back in the day? I think
yeah.
Carlos Snow and Vinnie Clark played. Had great games at the Tank there for a while, but that's a school that reminds me of them. Mm-hmm. Kip Columbus, Cincinnati Cape. I don't know if they're as good as Cape was.
No, they were a powerhouse for a long time.
I don't think they exist anymore.
No, I haven't heard. Considering, I look at all this, try to look at all the scores and just see who plays each other, and eventually you'll see teams from other areas within a 3-hour radius of us. But yeah, I haven't seen Cape in a long time.
Can we come up with one of those? We'll call it the 3 Academy of Physical Education. We'll call it Huntington Tate. That'll be our team. They can wear red and white and blue.
Superman.
That'd be pretty cool. Logan and Athens, that's an old SCOAL matchup from back in the day. Logan's got a new coach. I believe it is Jimmy Payton, who he's actually a guy from Ironton. He was I believe he was the quarterback on the 99 team that was the state runner-up. He's been at Warren, and now he's at Logan. Logan hasn't had a winning season, I think, in 10 years or so.
Yeah,
Maybe the Lane Little group in 2015, and so
we'll see what the Fighting Joe Burrows have in store this year.
We'll see what the Fighting Joe Burrows have in store for him. Oak Hill and Wellston, that'll be fun. Jackson County rivalry there.
Oh, you could probably ride a bike between those two schools and get there within an hour. That should be another great rivalry for week one. Like teams we don't really get to a whole lot. Just sometimes they're on an island, and man, Wellston's one of them too because it's a nice haul to check out the Rockets, but. We'll get you. I promise we'll get you at some point this year, more than once.
93 is also not a fun drive in a news car.
Well, there's an old philosophy I have. I'm sure I've told you. It's called safe fast. Safe on the corners, fast on the straightaways.
I was about to
93 is a safe fast road, but not. I don't speed, but when you can go 55 on 93, you go 55 on 93.
Yeah, but you got to take it easy on those corners.
Sure.
Though, trust me, you got to.
Oh, and folks out there, I do.
Take his word for it now. Chesapeake and Sims Valley, that is another rivalry there. Sims Creek connects them both.
That's another fun school to get to. Yeah. And the Panthers, they're always a staple on our show, and it's always fun when all the teams that we cover are good, and that should be a nice test for both schools, especially with the new coach for the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean Chesapeake, I think historically has been pretty dominant in that rivalry, but the Sims Valley folks, they can remember the times that they beat Chesapeake. One of my best friends played quarterback at Sims Valley, 10, 15 years ago, and he can tell you, we beat them this year.
Yeah.
They don't forget.
Well, that's another one of those like maybe smaller schools if they can muster the strength and the talent to beat their bigger counterparts to the south. That's one they won't forget forever.
Yep. How about Portsmouth Notre Dame and Fairfield Christian Academy? Notre Dame's going with some navy blue helmets this year.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's an alternate or if that's truly what they're wearing week in and week out. They also will have a new coach, so they'll be an interesting look anytime we get a chance to cover them.
That's a fun. Well, of course, where they play is fantastic. Old Spartan Stadium, still, I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's worth the trip for me probably once a year to check them out. And sometimes they'll play on a Saturday, which I'll really try to get to if we don't have a 6 that day. And the Titans, they're always they got some talent with the numbers that you would see in Division 7, but they're always very talented.
Yeah. I know the Notre Dame folks, they do a good job of taking care of Spartan Stadium, but it does need a lot of work. So just in case someone with the NFL or somebody who has a lot of money that wants to help out, just take a look at the history that is Spartan Stadium in Portsmouth. We need to preserve that thing because it's a national treasure.
That stadium should never that should always be in that spot for one thing or the other.
Yeah. Cold Grove Russell, we talked about that. A few games up. This was this going back to my Ohio University days. These are a bunch of teams we covered up there for Gridiron Glory.
Oh, yeah.
Nelsonville, York, and Trimble, that's a huge rivalry up there, man. It's always the week 1 game. I think even sometimes they play on Saturday.
Yeah.
Might have to look. This may be a Saturday game, but I have it as a Friday night matchup. Nelsonville, York, and Trimble is a big deal. Vinton County and Waterford. Waterford historically has had some good ball up there.
This might be the page of the teams. Guys, we promise we try our best to get there because,
right.
I mean, if you ever driven to Nelsonville, York from Huntington,
oh my,
it is a haul.
The Buckeyes.
Yeah, and then Waterford, Miller, Alexander. I mean, it's just that's an Athens County school that you drive by, and we love you, but we're going to try our best to get there a couple times this year.
You ever been to Corning Miller?
No.
I've been there probably a couple of times, but the last baseball game I ever played in high school, we had to play Miller the day after prom.
Oh, jeez.
In the playoffs. You can imagine how that went. And that's just lack of sleep, folks, is what we're talking about.
Everybody's sweating through their hat because, it's really hot outside.
I promise. We're St. Joe kids. Lack of sleep.
Exactly. I'm a St. Joe kid. That happened a few times.
River Valley and Bern Union. You've got the Sciotoville East Tartans and the Southeastern Panthers. So a little bit of a trip for them. You're going up to the Chillicothe area. Yeah. And then Southern and South Gallia. South Gallia had a heck of a year last year. there was some smack talk going on between the schools in Gallia County last year, and South Gallia felt like they may have had the best team in it. So we'll see how the Rebels are this year. What else we got? We'll turn to the next page.
We got the kind of games we've already talked about. Fairland, Portsmouth West. That save you a parking spot. And well, you should probably get there early enough for Minford Rock Hill.
Yep.
Don't have that problem, but can't forget about the Green Bobcats.
The Green Bobcats.
That stadium's 2 years old now.
Shoot.
But they won't be there.
Could be 2 or 3.
Yeah, but they're at Federal Hockey. But when they get back a lot closer to Huntington, to our area, we'll get the Bobcats for sure.
That's an awesome venue. I feel like they were kind of the first in the area, them in Boyd County, to have the flickering lights and whatnot. Now everybody's getting them, and it's kind of the new craze.
I always like in the fall when they have like the cornfields in the background.
Oh yeah. Valley and Paint Valley, of course, and
that's what's weird about Valley is I wonder because we have to discuss is we have 2 games Thursday night because that's what made me think of we used to the last couple of years we'd be Lucasville Valley and Portsmouth trading home sites, but Portsmouth plays Unioto Thursday. McDermott Northwest is home Thursday night. Yeah, all the action in Ohio starts Thursday night with those 2 teams. With Valley taking on Paint Valley now, so they don't have to worry about taking on the Trojans early on in the year.
that is a matchup that I'll miss though on Thursday nights before the
start
start of the season.
Oh, it's been fun. And each year it's been really nice. The weather's been fantastic, and hopefully the cooperates again.
West Carter and Lewis County. I know it was a tough season for the Lions last year. West Carter probably feels pretty good about that matchup. Betsy Lane and Prestonsburg's always fun. That's a rivalry down there in and of itself. I mean, there's songs written about it. You just ask Nicholas Jamerson. Yeah, anyone down the Floyd County area, Betsy Lane and Prestonsburg. That's a fun matchup that you don't want to miss. And then I always get it confused. Rowan or Rowan, Jimmy? Rowan County. Okay.
I've always called it Rowan.
Rowan County. McGoffin County.
And those 2 cats aren't very far from each other, so I can imagine they also have some bragging rights up in store for that one. And that's probably for most weeks for high school football in our region.
Yeah. So I guess that really does it for kind of our breakdown and analysis here, if you want to call it that, right? But Jimmy, just kind of explain to folks maybe just what it's going to look like for you on Friday night, because it's not a full-fledged football Friday night, and some people might say, well, what does that mean? So what are the things that we necessarily won't have that they can expect come week 2 in Ohio and Kentucky?
Well, it's the same work ethic that we do for week 1, because we want to give these guys a great start to the year as well. With football Friday night on the 29th, we start at 11:05, 15, 16 games, try to get 5 from each state, just because we love to be fair. We like to give everyone equal time. But this coming Friday, we're still going to try to get 6, maybe 7. I'm going to bring in some treats to our producers to say, hey, can I go 7 minutes tonight? Because we also have Marshall soccer just starting things off. But we want to give each year we try to give teams at least a minute's worth of highlights. That gives us a good solid 5, 6, 7 plays and get a good feel for the game. Because last thing you want to do is cover a high school game and do a setup shot of the cheerleaders or the band running out, show 2 plays, and you're done. That's not why this show what it is. It's great content. It's as much as we can. We're going to stick around and try to get the best stuff possible. Because sometimes it's hard to stay because someone asked me the other day if we're going to be at the end of a game, like it's impossible. I mean, just unless it's as a playoff time or because we got to get back by 9-ish to start editing highlights. I'll be back right after. Probably I'll be at Ashland Racing for the first half, just to formulate the 10 and the 11. And then like I said, we'll try to go 7 minutes on Friday night just to give everyone a nice little soft opening, we'll call it, like what restaurants use. But it's all day long. The family knows don't call me between 7 and midnight.
And we got some new photographers this year. It's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got to make sure we get these things edited and on the air.
Yeah, and that's why I got to tell them, look, once you get 6 really good plays, not just any plays, really good plays, come back. Yeah. We'll kind of show you the how it's done, how to do it well, how to give the fans and TV viewers what they deserve, and then we'll see what happens. It's a blast.
Yeah. Well, if they're tired of listening to us right now, I'm sorry to tell you, you got really to the end of November before they don't see us anymore, and Keith included.
No, I know it's a blast. I mean, my wife, she calls herself a sports widow, beginning.
A sports widow?
I mean, because, we went out Friday night during my dinner break, and we downtown and saw some stuff, and it was like, well, and I looked at my, I mean, there are no Friday night lunch breaks till December 13th.
Yeah. I mean, you're live in the evenings yourself, too.
Yep.
So you get in, you're heading out, you're doing live shots, and then, bang, you're back to anchor football Friday night.
She doesn't complain about a quiet night at home either, because I'll bug her. If I'm at home, I'll bug her with something, and she just got to put your hand on her head when I say something stupid. But she's kept me around this long, so.
Well, hopefully they keep us around, too, our employers. That'd be nice.
Well, especially you're hearing about a year and change. But, yeah, I say we want to tell all our viewers and fans and players and cheerleaders and bands and stuff that we got some once again another good year of football Friday night. No one goes 25 minutes in this area, and that really, I think, gives us a chance to give as many schools as we can from all 3 states the best show possible. And that's why I think people enjoy what we do, and you see them out and you hear football Friday night. And that's a testament to how much we value all the kids and programs and schools out there.
Yeah, especially just with the numbers that we have here and the amount we're able to sacrifice to get people to games. It is amazing.
We're fortunate to have great bosses who realize that. And, I mean, look at how much football Friday night has blown up. And, I mean, on a good night, we'll have 8-9 photographers out there, which is I mean that's like all the staff or most of them,
and some shooting 2 games.
So hopefully the week 1 is always interesting, so that's why we have this one, so the new ones can kind of get used to it. And
week 0, whatever that is, you
know what, just to not confuse me, it's week 1.
Okay, week 1, that's it. That's probably what I'm going to call the episode. Week 1, Ohio and Kentucky preview.
Yep,
featuring Jimmy Treacy. All right, man, I appreciate you coming on. We'll see you up here probably, every week anyways, and everyone's going to see you every Friday.
I am up for it.
You're stuck with me, I think, first week of football Friday night? It's me and you.
Yep.
All right.
Keith might be somewhere down south.
Yeah. We might have to get the social media masses to rib him a little bit for that.
Well, he's he's a stalwart in this community, in this business, and he's one of the best to do it ever that I've encountered. So
no doubt, and he wouldn't want to be anywhere else, but there.
Yeah. If he wasn't here, if he wasn't maybe going to Athens, and he would be just excited as we are.
Yep. All right, Jimmy, we'll let you go. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, see you at your local football field for the next 14 weeks.
Okay, that was the great Jimmy Treacy joining us on this episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. He probably just walked out the door to go watch Shawshank Redemption or something downstairs in the Sports Lair. You never know what movie he's going to have on down in the Sports Lair. But this is going to be a fun year. Can't wait. A few things before we let you go. I guess you can turn it off if you want. I would hope not. But a few things before I wrap this thing up myself. Fired Up Friday starts this week. I know we've talked about it on Studio 3 and some other shows and programs that we have here at WSAZ. We're going back to Gallia Academy on Friday. This is a stop that we had in 2023, October 13th, 2023. It was a Friday the 13th, and the Blue Devils really leaned into that. They had Silas Patterson, who dressed up as Jason Voorhees, and it was awesome. You had the built-in matchup with Ironton that night, and, of course, everybody in Gallipolis was fired up about that, and you had the Bob Evans Farm Festival that weekend, all kinds of stuff. It was just a really fun morning. I can't wait to get back up to Gallia Academy. Of course, a lot of buzz and excitement up there with their new coach, Dalton Jarrell. We're going to be on that blue basketball court. If you've never been to Gallia Academy's gym since they've built the new school, they have a blue basketball court. It is remarkable. It's incredible. Just something to keep your eye out for if you tune in to Fired Up Friday. I will say I do kind of have a soft spot for Gallia Academy just because I have relatives that live up there. My Uncle Matt was the head coach there for a while. My cousin Joanna cheered. My cousins Phil and Bryant played there. And so while I grew up, in Ironton, going to a lot of Ironton football games, while the Bakovitzes were up at Gallia Academy playing and coaching and cheering, we were at Memorial Field if there was a home game more often than not. So, making that drive up Route 7 and going to Memorial Field and seeing the guys walk down out of the locker room, down those stairs. I just have a lot of good memories there at Memorial Field. And so a little bit of a soft spot for Gaia Academy and the Blue Devils there. So can't wait. Make sure you all tune in for that Friday morning at 6 a.m. And then, of course, Jimmy Treacy with all the highlights on Pseudo Football Friday night, later that night at 11 o'clock. Remember, WSAZ Sports Plus is everywhere on social media. You're going to want to go follow us. That's TikTok. That's Instagram. That's X. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook. So Joseph Payton WSAZ is all you have to search on Facebook. At JPaytonTV on Twitter. X, I guess is what it is these days. Jimmy Treacy, you know what? Guess what? That guy also on Twitter. You can follow him at Jimmy Treacy. He's always putting stuff out, not just high school stuff, but he's all over the Marshall beat and everything else. You can also listen to us as a podcast. I can't stress that enough. Podcast listeners, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It is free. If you don't know if you have that, go to the App Store, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you have an iPhone, it should be built into your phone. All you got to do is search WSAZ Sports Plus, hit subscribe, bang, there it is. It's going to notify you every time we post a new episode. All episodes of this program are over on WSAZ.com pretty much shortly after this streams at 6:30 each Tuesday. And also on our WSAZ News Channel 3 YouTube channel. You can find full episodes on there as well. So if you see some clips of the show, share it with your buddies, share it with your mom and dad, your friends, whatever. We want to get this in front of as many people as possible, and I hope that this program each week is something that maybe you'll throw on and listen to or watch before you head out to whatever game you're going to. If you're somebody in the village of Colgrove, we talked a little bit about the Hornets tonight. Flip that on, see what we think. I guess who cares what we think? Well, I hope that you might care what we think. And you can listen to us and see what kind of analysis and breakdown and whether or not you expect to see your boys and girls on the highlights. So appreciate you tuning in. For now, we will see you next Tuesday at 6:30, as we will every single week, streaming on the WSAZ app. This has been WSAZ Sports Plus.